Okay, so I have the pleasure to welcome on stage Tomomi Imura, who is the web and technology advocate at Slack. So I think probably most of us here have used Slack or are using Slack or probably spend most of our day on Slack if it's not somewhere else. Tomomi, the floor is yours. Welcome to Athens.
Yeah, it's the first time. All right. Cool. Thank you. All right, hello. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's really nice to be here, you know. This is my first time visiting Athens, so I'm super excited, and I'm so happy to see you all here. So today I'm going to talk about a conversational interface and some JavaScript. So first part of my talk will be quite high level. You know, it's more like I'm telling you like what conversational interface is, how it look like. And the last half of, not maybe last half, but the later part is about my demos. You know, I'm going to show some stuff I've written before. All right. So yeah, again, my name is Tomomi Imura. Oh, in case you wonder, so I'm from San Francisco, but this is a Japanese name. So I was born and raised in Japan, so this is how I got my name. Anyways, so I consider myself an open web and tech advocate. And I do go to JavaScript. Yeah, I'm a JavaScript person and Node.js. And I work at a company called Slack in San Francisco. And oh yeah, and I'm also known as a cat lady of the interweb. So I created something called HTTP status cat. And if you haven't heard of it before, hopefully you've seen this before, but check out http.cat. All right. Yeah, if you're engineers, I'm sure you'll love it. Anyways, all right, so let me talk about bots. So let's say, well, this dude, it's Satya Nadella at Microsoft. The dude said bots are like a new application that you can converse with. So now, you know, it's like everybody started talking about bots. So this is something he said like probably last year or maybe year before. I don't remember. But so last year was like quite the time, you know, everybody, like a lot of big companies, it doesn't have to be big companies, but a lot of companies start focusing on bots, AI, machine learning, and all those. So even like Sundar Pichai at Google have said something like, we will evolve in computing from mobile first to an AI first world. So this was something he have said at Google I/O last year, not this year, about their focus had shifted to the AI. And this year, yeah, they really have, utilized the AI and everything in full. So if we have seen their, keynote from Google I/O, you've seen some really like uncanny, AI speaking and making a reservation for the haircut or something. So this was, their product on Google Home. So it's a voice-assisted device. You can just talk and have ask questions and have a lot of things with that. So yeah, I just mentioned the voice-assisted devices, but when we think about like web and app user interactions, well, traditionally that's what we've been doing. Let's say your user typed in something and submit, or maybe just using pull down. Either way, it's like form submission, and that's how you interact, with your users on browser or on your app, whatever. And recently, well, it's not that recent. Maybe it's been there almost a decade, but we get social interactions. So now, not just the one-way communication from user to the server, you might have more like real-time interactions with other users and such. Could be intents, could be like rating, could be just the reactions. And these are more the voice assistant. So now we get a conversational user interface. And this is example with voice. So Apple has Siri, and I didn't activate your iDevices, right? Sometimes when I say Siri, okay, never mind. And Amazon have Amazon Echo. Actually, it's Alexa is one of the AI. And Microsoft has Cortana. And Google has, does it have a name? Just Hey Google, I guess. And a conversational interface can be in a different shape, form factors. So this is a cognitive toys dino. It's a kid's toy, basically. And that little dinosaur can tell jokes, answer some questions, maybe do math and teaching kids math and play games. And, the little toy can do so many things with kids. And interestingly, it comes with IBM Watson brain. And that can be in robot shape. So this is a pepper. As it's funny, this picture is actually my niece. It's talking to Pepper. So I took this picture at sushi joint in Japan. And when I visited, this little creepy robot greeted us. I'm like, whoa, what am I supposed to do? Talking to this little robot? And apparently, you have to interact with the touch panel. And I didn't know what to do, but my niece knew. She was a 2.5. She's going to be 3 next month. No, actually this month. It's June, huh? Anyways. And yes, oh, it's cut off there. Yeah, now it's getting a little uncanny. The robot becoming too much like a human. And I don't know if it's, for us, it's comfortable to talking to somebody who looks just like human, but not exactly. We can kind of tell it's not. It's a little creepy. But, well, we got a Sophia, the AI robot now. I think she even has a citizenship in Saudi or somewhere. So maybe not too creepy, but we got something so much simpler. So this is the example of voice and text and the Google Assistant. And of course, we get just text only too, right? Well, I say text only, but it comes with some graphic interactions and stuff. In case of the Slack, we get some sort of notification. It's you can have so many bots tell you what to do, or maybe just simply giving you notifications. So now, like you see, we get shifted something like graphic interface to the conversational interface. And another example would be like ordering pizza could be done with a text, either text or voice these days. So she's ordering some pizza. Maybe bot react, or maybe bot just gives you like multiple choices. You can make a payment and everything with a credit card, or PayPal, whatever you have registered with that service too. So now the conversational interface achieves natural using interactions with a minimal visual interface. So there's no UI clutter, and ideally, less time spent for your users. So that can be like another example, like rideshare can be done with bot. That could be like either voice or text. So yeah, you come over to my place. Where's your address? And then bot might, and another person tell the address, and maybe bot might just react it with a street address and fetch the car. That's just an example. Might be a little creepy because bot is listening to your conversation all the time, but for user, it could be better, and sometimes of course it's up, depends. Sometimes it should be done with humans. Sometimes it can be just automated. But it's just a simple example I'm showing. And when I say no UI, it doesn't exactly mean zero UI. And of course, there are some user experience involved. So in this case, Amazon's Alexa UX. So, Echo device had some sort of LED band around, so that indicates what's going on. So users can tell, instead of just waiting and seeing nothing, they can always tell when it's activated, when it's listening. So it's always a good idea to have some guideline like this. So the conversational interface is the intuitive and accessible, and it should be productive. It shouldn't take too much of everybody's time. So there are some messaging platforms out there. Of course, I gotta mention about Slack because I work there. and we have Facebook Messenger, Telegram, WeChat, and all other things. And each one of them probably, provide like APIs that you can tweak and make some, more productive bots and automations. So in that case of the Slack, you can always integrate with other apps. And if you are an app developer, you can have your company's services within the Slack, so your users can do everything without leaving Slack client, which is, I think it's cool. And I'm often asked, what do we use Slack? So I'm just a little example. This is like my favorite, stage chicken and deploy chicken. So we get internal bot that connects to GitHub and CI and everything. So when I push code, or more like when I merge the code and I wanted to push the code, but when somebody else does it for me, I get notifications. Something like, your code is being deployed by Kevin. So I'm like, OK, cool. Thanks, Kevin. And we have a Jira bot, too, for some bug updates and everything. And more social stuff like lunch train. When you want to go to lunch or coffee with your colleagues, you can just ask that and react, OK, yeah, I'm going too. And another one is a little silly flipping table bot. Or more like, when you flip the table, the bot fixes it for you. But he's saying, please respect tables. And last week in San Francisco, we had a developer conference, and we just announced something called Actions. So you can integrate your app into the Slack Actions. So you can hover the message and do some actions with your app. I say your app means if you're an app developer and creating your app, or I would say just third-party apps. And an interesting bot example here is a taco bot. I don't know if it Taco Bell's here in this country, but it's just American fast food, junk food. I wouldn't call it Mexican food because it's not really. Anyway, so you can order some tacos and, well, I would say pseudo tacos and pseudo burrito from Taco Bell. But I think it's interesting. So there are some APIs for natural conversations. So when you're building bots, many times you create some sort of automations or something, just helps your work life, like I was saying, GitHub and some Travis CI and all those. But sometimes you want to make your bot sound smarter, or more like, I would say, more natural to you, with you can converse with. So you can use those natural language, natural conversation APIs to actually talk to the bot. So something like a dialogue flow. So it was called API.ai before. So I was using API.ai before acquired by Google. So sometimes I still refer the product as API.ai, but it is called the dialogue flow right now. And Facebook has something very similar, basically a competitor with the AI, or more like Facebook have acquired with the AI. And Microsoft has their own too, bot framework. Also like something like Motion.ai, Chatbots AI, and there are actually plenty of APIs out there. And this is an example from with the AI. So when somebody talks to the bot, it tries to get some information like intent. What is it? Is it calendar events, agenda? And try to extract that task and date. And creating a reply or just do some task with that. And many of those APIs actually come with really nice interface, like a web graphical interface. So, well, I just call it like AI as a service. Not really, maybe I just made it up, but it's the great thing is you don't have to be an engineer to use those services. And many times they have really easy to navigate, easy to use UI. So basically anyone can create conversations by using those AI, the interface. And many times they provide some pre-made conversations too. I think it's really hard to see. It's kind of fuzzy, and there's some, the mini chat had some interface like noodling, like connecting dots to create a conversation too. So the example can be like booking flight. So let's say somebody wants to book the flight. It's like, hi, I want to book the flight. And somebody who look like some like operator, but it's actually a bot. Say, hi, Linda, you're flying from San Francisco as usual. Can be smart like this if the user have used the services before, maybe remember the preference and such. And yes, from my CFO, where are you flying to? London. Sometimes this conversation is a little too, like I keep saying uncanny, but realistic. It's more like ethic questions here, like if bots should mimic human completely, like something like Google have showed before. It's a booking reservation and a haircut. That was like completely mimicking a human. Even was saying like, like bots shouldn't say like, let's see, kind of. So that's really up to you if bots should mimic human or users always have to know the user is talking to bot. But anyways, I'm just telling you the example. So this example is actually used by KLM. So it's not like just fictional things. They actually have a bot, but you always know it's a bot. But anyway, so they have this Facebook Messenger bot, and they're using Dialogflow as well. And there are more powerful platforms out there. So those don't come with like easy to use interface. You have to actually code. But IBM Watson and Google Cloud, Google Cloud APIs, Microsoft as Louis, Amazon Lex, Baidu Unit, and all the big players have their own. Oh yeah, and Clippy is making a comeback. So this is something I got in my email, like an email letter from AngelList. And apparently there are some startups have some smarter versions of Clippy now. That's pretty cool because I was always thinking about this. Clippy wasn't smart enough before, so we are so annoyed because Clippy never think about what we actually want. But now, with the help of natural language processing and AI, I mean, like machine learning and everything, it has a better stuff, which is cool. So how about conversational interface with JavaScript? So obviously, well, it's not obviously, but anyways, APIs are mostly accessed with JS, as you guess. And it could be like REST, might have SDK. So this is the example I've done with Messenger and Dialogflow. I have something called Tomomi bot. It's not smart, actually. I was just trying to see how that works. So in that case, I'm not explaining a whole lot, but I'm just using their Node.js SDK. So I'm just including there. The pointer doesn't work. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, so basically, it's like event APIs here. So when somebody sends a message, that means when my server received a message, it just processes it with the API.ai. And when it successfully returns back some reply, it posts a message to Facebook, the messenger. So I have this bot wild out there. And I don't really check. I don't even save those messages in DB or anything. I just let it there, but every once in a while, I just check what's going on with my bot. And, yeah, people are making some weirdest conversations. So there's sad humans out there. Yeah, always asking my bot weird stuff. Anyways. Oh yeah, so this is the actual QR. It's not QR code, it's like a messenger code. And another example is a Slack message sentiment analysis. And I was playing around with IBM Watson. So basically when somebody types in a message, the Watson analyzes how that person feels. So how that works is, read each message on Slack channel. We get some sort of like event APIs. So when somebody sends a message, if I use up the event, so pick it up and send this message, just extract the text to Watson and examine the emotion. And if the likelihood of emotion isn't above the given confidence threshold, and post the most prominent emotion. What I mean by that is calculating like how much or maybe percentage of your emotions, like mostly angry, a little sad, things like that, and it actually spit out with the numbers. So yes, I'm just using HTTP post, using Express.js here. And like again, the event callbacks, message is sent, and dump that text to Watson. And I'm using this Watson's actual JavaScript SDK here. So yeah, when I'm using SDK, it's simple. I don't have to do a whole lot. So just get the numbers and just post emotion to the Slack channel. So it's something like, so yeah, so I even overdo this, my demo. So I didn't just do the software part, but I even use hardware. So I made this robot with a Raspberry Pi. Actually, this is a Watson TJ bot kit that I was given from IBM. So I was playing around, and it has a little LED on the top of the head. So it lights up in certain colors depending on the emotion. Oops. It's not really a good video, but this is how it looked like. It's green, means happy. I forgot. Yeah. Oops. Oh, yeah. Disgust. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, this can be applied to the real life experience, If you have like a customer service bot, if you have angry customers, you might want to switch to the real person. So how about browser? If you're a front-end engineer and you do care about a browser, so yes, conversational interface is voice in the browser. So I had a little experiment with the new web API. So I'll actually show the demo later, but I have this artificial voice chat project here. So basically, how it works is a user talk to browser. And the browser converts the voice to text. Then I'm using some third-party API here to generate a reply. And once you get the text reply from the whatever API I'm using, the browser converts the text to the synthetic voice. So browser speaks back to you. So this web speech API has two different APIs, and one is speech recognition, and another is speech synthesis. I said 1 and 3 here because I'm just using the convention I used in the previous slide. So the speech synthesis API is widely supported by modern browsers. So those 5. Actually, Opera too. I removed Opera and added Samsung browser instead because the number of Opera users going down. Anyways, so those 5 browsers currently do support synthesis. But the recognition API is only supported by Chromium-based browsers so far. So Chrome and Samsung browser, also Opera. So this is a web speech, the recognition APIs. So now, for now, it's only supported by Chromium. So you need to use a prefixed version of that. And so it's not just window that speech recognition, but you still have to use a window that WebKit speech recognition. And you just get an instance of the speech recognition as a control interface. Then you can define like a language. So I can show you the example, like a demo later. It actually works with other languages too. And I have something like interim result. I put it false, but if it's true, it tries to convert your voice to text as you speak. But if it's false, it waits until you pause. And then there's a start method, start, stop, abort method. And you get the result event here. And once you are successfully done, you can get actual transcript, return to the text. And it does use your microphone. So, browser doesn't just keep listening to your voice and do something. It always asks the user a permission. So this window should pop up the first time you're using. So that's the speech recognition part. OK. I have a demo. I'll show you later. And the synthesis part is the one convert text to the voice. And this is, again, already widely supported by browsers. So you can just use speech synthesis without vendor prefix, which is good. And you can call a new speech synthesis utterance method, interface here. And you can specify, like you can define some properties here. So text, a pitch, a language, and such. So those both APIs already support in multi-languages. So let's see. I hope it works fine. So the first one is the speech recognition demo. So if I talk to the browser, that should actually get a transcription of what I say. So that's the English. Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, it works nicely. And I speak Japanese too, so I can test it in Japanese as well. アテネの皆さん、元気ですか? Oh, hold on, I didn't forgot. アテネの皆さん、元気ですか? It's not working. It was working before. This is what happens in live demo, right? It's always something fails. こんにちは。皆さん元気ですか? It didn't pick up everything I say. I blame on this microphone. Oh, let me speak without it. 皆さん元気ですか? Better. And another one is a speech synthesis APIs. So this should speak to you. Oh, you can't hear. Oops. Oh. So, shoot. Okay, hold on a second.
Hello, how are you?
Did you hear that? Yeah. And next one is, well, it's in Greek, so I'm not sure if it's fine, but let's say. Does it sound good? Yeah. So it does support multiple languages. Okay. So that was, yeah. Ooh, I have another example, but let's see. So that was a speech synthesis. And I'm using the backend as a Node.js server using Socket.io to go back and forth with the browser for the next example. And also using API.ai with Node.js. So this is the actual demo of the conversation, like a chatbot, browser chatbot. So this one, yes, use the two APIs just mentioned about, and the API, the AI, and the backend. So I'm going to speak to the browser, and the browser actually reply back to me instead of just repeating me. All right. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, did you hear that? Maybe I didn't hear. Hello. Hello.
Hey there.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
All right. So get some audio issues, so I couldn't really do much. But this is basically what it is. And I'm using API.ai so that actually generate reply. And I didn't really configure for smarter conversations, so I can only do greetings. If I say something more complicated, it doesn't really reply. Oops. How's the weather today?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
See? Yeah, it's not smart. Oh. Okay. So yeah, I have written about what I've talked about, this browser-based chatbot on the Smashing magazine. So if you're interested, please do read. So conversational interface is really meant to be for human. And the bot interface really is a human interface. So you have to make it usable for a human. So I would say just write a code for machine, but build bots for human. Just make usable bots. So I was going to finish it here, but I have one more slide. Again, I'm such a cat lady, so it's wrong that I didn't use any cats in the slide. So I have to add one more slide here. It's my last words. AI or cats, which will take us over first? Thank you. Oh, by the way, I have a bunch of Slack stickers. If you are interested, I'm going to probably distribute somewhere around here after this.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Let's take some questions from our audience. We have a little bit of time before lunch. So, am I missing any hands? Is everybody? No questions? No questions about the?
I know you're hungry.
The upcoming AI revolution.
Hey, so I've built a bot before. I've actually published the bot on Slack Marketplace. So I have some experience with it. What I found most interesting is that it's very difficult to. So when you're building a bot that has a specific purpose, say a bot that orders pizza for you, it's very difficult to respond to non-expected answers from a human. So for instance, the bot says, what would you like to order? And the human says, shut up, or red, or raining, something like that. Then the bot doesn't know what to answer. And how do you solve that?
Oh, sorry. I don't think I heard everything you said because I got some not a feedback, but it's kind of muffled. I couldn't really understand everything.
If you get an unexpected answer, you can't train the bot to answer on things that are unexpected from a human.
Yeah.
How would you learn? How would you teach the bot to learn unexpected?
Yeah, I think I heard you right for the first time then. Okay. Yeah, so about the learning, so this is more like actual why we have a machine learning is for. You gotta train, your bots. So many of the example I showed, like APIs, are trainable. So even something like API that actually the dialog flow is something that's really made it easy for developers to create. It even comes with like teaching assist, not an assistant, I forgot what it's called, but you can basically teach. Because many times, yes, of course, he had a more unexpected answer all the time. And each time you can tune and fix that issue manually. So of course, learning part is fed by human, and you need a large number of samples to achieve it. So in that case, yeah, of course, I'm not like machine learning experts, but like again, those APIs do come with training pattern, so you can feed. Yeah. Or you wanna go eat lunch?
That there'll probably be quite a long queue, so go immediately, get lunch, and then come back, because the talks will start on time as on the program, right? So don't get caught in a queue, because if you're going to miss your next talk. So let's get that done, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you.